Welcome to our trash revolution.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
The guy!
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian with you guys. So guys, a couple of things that are happening. It turns out, I hope you're all sitting here and be careful if you're driving, that DOJ might not be a populist takeover over the government. It might be a corporate takeover over the government. No, is it true? Well, you're gonna see for yourself in one of the stories today. But on the other hand, tons of stories in the show today where MAGA rebellion here and there. No way. Okay, hold on. See the receipts, see the actual exchanges back and forth in a second, including the first story. The Epstein files have been released.
Have they?
Have they?
Oh my gosh.
All right,
lots of drams in the show today.
Oh, tons.
Yes. All right, well, why don't we begin? Why don't we begin with Pam Bondi, the Epstein files, Kash Patel makes an appearance, and Liz Wheeler, a conservative influencer, provides cover for the fact that Bondi failed to deliver the goods. Let's get right to it.
You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. We have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're gonna see some Epstein information being released by my office.
Well, it's tomorrow, and Attorney General Pam Bondi last night promised, while speaking to Jesse Waters, that she would be releasing the Epstein files, the long-awaited Epstein files. But now she's facing some backlash from fellow Republicans for failing to deliver the goods, Cenk.
Yeah, indeed. So to me, the most important and interesting question is, why are they not releasing the Epstein files? I have two very plausible explanations. One of them is a little dangerous. So we'll get to that in a minute. But first, the great disappointment, including by the right wing, by the way.
All right, well, today in the afternoon, there was a group of conservative influencers. Let's take a look at the footage. They're at the White House. They're being given these binders, and the binders say something along the lines of, Epstein files part 1. Essentially, these are the files that we've been waiting for. This is the first batch, the Epstein files, phase 1, I should say. So the New York Post notes that at least one recipient left underwhelmed by what the documents revealed, or I guess didn't reveal. A source who reviewed the files prior to that whole photo op situation that you all witnessed told the New York Post ahead of the document's release that it was just 100 pages of Epstein's address book or a list of contacts without any further context. So, I mean, even sleaze bags and terrible people like Jeffrey Epstein might have an address book full of people who aren't implicated in any type of wrongdoing. You need the context. You need to understand who the clients were. What's the client's list? That was not released. Now, this person added the unveiling was likely to be a disappointment to sleuths eager for bombshell news, new evidence about Epstein's connections to prominent political and business leaders. Now, which political leaders are we talking about here? We've talked about this before, but just to remind you all, former President Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, and President Trump are among the high-profile people who associated with Epstein, though Trump reportedly banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in 2007 over an incident with a club member's daughter.
Yeah.
Now, I was curious about that, so I looked into it, and the Miami Herald actually did report that Epstein had hit on a club member's teenage daughter And at that point, Trump allegedly banned him from Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, so look, my thoughts on that are two directions. Real quick on Trump. Actually, first, one of our members, Funkin' for Fun, wrote in Epstein files, Donald J. redacted. Okay, but in this case, in all fairness, it's not redacted. He's in the phone book. There's no question about it. To be fair to everybody in the phone book, which is a funny thing to be fair, like Chris Cuomo's wife is randomly in the phone book.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah,
sure
because he knew a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So, but was Donald Trump friends with him, and did he know his situation? You know, with the quote I'm going to read if you watch the Young Turks. Trump in 2002. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side.
Okay, think about it. He made that statement after having banned Epstein.
No. He banned him in 07. This was in 02.
Oh, that was in 02.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a more recent statement. Got it. Okay.
No. So look, did he really ban him? I guess. Was it because that he was hitting on some member's daughter? Maybe. I mean, Trump usually falls out with people if they criticize them or owe him money or he owes them money, but we don't know. That what we do know, and if you're MAGA and you say, no way, Clinton and everybody else on the list is definitely guilty. The one guy I know is innocent is the guy who said he was great friends with him for 15 years and knew that he liked young girls. Okay, could be, and you got the Mar-a-Lago kick out as your evidence. Other people will look at it and go, maybe, brother. Okay, I mean, Alan Dershowitz now says he's not friends with him and kept his shorts on. Maybe. What do I know?
Alan Dershowitz unintentionally, publicly, makes himself look guilty on a regular basis. Like he implicates himself on a regular basis. Let's keep it real. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude wrote an op-ed talking about how maybe the statutory rape laws are a little, harsh. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so look, he could write anything he likes. He could have his opinion. We have our opinion, obviously. Yeah. So now the 200 victims, she says, we've been going through day and night about it. You saw in that clip. Have you? Because we've had decades to contact those victims. So this is just like news to you guys. So, okay, there's something fishy going on, and even the right wing realizes it. Back to you.
Yeah, what she was trying to say is there are a lot of victims. She's not talking about reaching out to the victim. She's talking about, hey, I need to redact the information or the personal private information of these victims before we release the documents. That's what she was
If they're actually trying to be careful and they release the full files, I say, oh my God, I credit to them for being careful and for releasing the full files.
Well, they didn't release the full files. So that has led to a lot of backlash from Trump supporters, even Republican lawmakers. Let's start with Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who says, I, nor the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. And then in all caps, this is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Get us the information we asked for. Now, let's talk about the influencers who actually got those binders full of addresses and phone numbers. Okay, so one of them was actually podcaster Liz Wheeler, who later acknowledged that the trove lacked a bombshell. But what I thought was fascinating is how she attempted to pass the buck, not on Bondi, not on the FBI, but on the police in New York, the sheriff's department in New York. So let me give you the big conspiracy theory here. Last night, a whistleblower, she writes, this is all on X, contacted Bondi and revealed that the SDNY was hiding potentially thousands of Epstein files, defying Bondi's order to give them all to her. We're talking records, evidence, the juicy stuff, names. These swamp creatures at SDNY deceived Bondi, Cash, and you. The binder is powerful because it's tangible physical evidence of the disgusting stunt the SDNY tried to pull. Bondi is now demanding all the Epstein evidence from SDNY, plus an investigation into the persons who committed this act of defiance. Now that's an interesting take, right? Maybe there's some credibility behind it, but let's just remember what Bondi told Jesse Waters on Fox News literally last night. Let's take a look.
Breaking news right now, you're gonna see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we gonna see who was on the flights? Are we gonna see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for sure.
He sure did.
So why did she say that last night when today she did not release the goods? Yeah. She said nothing about the SDNY.
Of course. All right, so they tried this. Now, if you remember during the campaign, we covered this hilarious clip where they asked Donald Trump, "Are you going to release the JFK files?" "Oh yeah, absolutely." "Area 51, oh God, absolutely." "Epstein files, less so." Wait, what happened? Why less so? Why less so? So then they try this gimmick of like, we are releasing some of the files, Epstein files, and it's terrible what he did. We all know it's terrible what he did. Okay, but who did it with him? What did they do exactly? So they try this, and even their own influencers. I mean, a nice cover try by Liz Wheeler, but overall, almost all of MAGA's mad. And I mean, the representative that we quoted there, massively right wing, right, and not. It's definitely not part of the resistance, okay? So, but you see now there's a little bit of a different resistance from other quarters, right? So now SNY, just so you know, is Southern District of New York.
Oh, got it, okay.
So that's the most powerful prosecutorial office within the Justice Department. It's in Manhattan, and so they would make sense. Epstein got arrested there. They would have a lot of the evidence. A lot of it happened in New York, and they were going to prosecute him. So it could be that that's true. And by the way, I would want to know a lot about that. And look, just for 1 second, assume they're telling the truth. I know, hilarious, but assume it for a second. Then they should really go find all the evidence, including what happened to the tape on the night that he committed suicide. Where did that tape go? Did anyone talk to the guards? All the real evidence of what actually happened to him. And if they reveal all that, I will give them so much credit that like everyone on the left will hate me. No, don't give them credit. But right now, okay, now back to reality. You never mentioned Southern District of New York.
No, not until now.
Okay.
And by the way,
and now all of a sudden, oh yeah, not us, Southern District of New York. Yeah, okay. But hey, guess what? I know you're the boss of everyone because you say it every day. Like, oh, who cares who's at Treasury or the IRS? We're in charge. You give us all the information. We fire everyone. Okay, so why aren't you firing everyone and getting all the information from Southern District of New York immediately? By the way, Anna said records, and there are records, but it was actually recordings in the quote, and they have recordings that he did record everything. So where the hell is it? So you got more? Because I'm ready for my theories.
Okay, look, here's my theory. No one's ever gonna see anything, okay? Like, let's just stop pretending. Let me just call, like all the hopers and believers out there, stop hoping and believing. We live in America that is controlled by the elite, and the elite that you're hoping will be revealed in these documents that you're never gonna see are never gonna allow those documents to be released. That's the reality of the situation. By the way, I know the people who love Donald Trump, I know you like to believe that he's not part of the elite. He's part of the elite. Okay, homeboy is part of the elite. He's the most elite person in the entire freaking world right now. They're not going to release the documents. That's my take on it. If I'm proven wrong, I'd be real happy about it. But I suspect I will not be proven wrong. By the way, the SDNY thing, interesting that Liz Wheeler put that theory out there. You also have Glenn Beck regurgitating the same talking point. So I'm wondering where the talking point is coming from, because today, Attorney General Pam Bondi actually reached out to Kash Patel over at the FBI, and here's what we learned about that. Bondi suggested in a Thursday letter to FBI Director Kash Patel that more records were recently discovered. She ordered the FBI to hand over the full and complete Epstein files to her by Friday morning, and directed Patel conduct an immediate investigation into why her order to the FBI to turn over all documents was not followed.
Okay, so here's my theories. One is it could have terrible stuff about Trump, because remember, there's recordings. So if you're in the recordings, you're in the recordings. So that's going to be super interesting. That's one possibility, okay? And as you know, like we just read you the quote, whether he kicked him out later from Mar-a-Lago or not, solidly in 02 said solidly great friends for 15 years, and then you add the other 5 on top for 20 straight years. Okay, so we'll see. And And by the way, it's also super embarrassing for the country if they've got Bill Clinton on tape, Bill Gates on tape, on and on. By the way, another guy that's on the list.
It's so embarrassing for the country. I mean,
okay,
we have such a clean, squeaky record already.
Yeah, but a lot of people, but remember, since people are in their bubbles, the Democrats think that they are really squeaky clean and the Republicans on the list are the bad guys.
A Democratic president got a blowy in the Oval Office from an intern, so I'm sorry.
I know, but they just, but no, yes, but he did it in a nice way. I mean, like, okay, so
do you know what he did with the cigar?
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so that's the Democratic side. The Republican bubble is like, no, all the Democratic meanies on that list are the biggest perverts, pedophiles in the world. Every Republican on that list, including Trump, it's squeaky clean angel, right? Okay, so all right. So now the second theory. There is a certain special ally who is rumored to have worked with Jeffrey Epstein. And that special ally has enormous power and influence in this country and has enormous power and influence in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Netanyahu?
With Joe Biden and with Donald Trump. So, and who would be powerful enough to have someone commit suicide in the middle of an American prison and all of a sudden all the records disappear overnight? But hey, we have a lot of special allies. That could have been Norway. Okay, well, I don't know. And by the way, it might not have been any of them. It might, we don't know, because the files are super, super, duper, duper secret. What is the one special ally that has the power to keep super, duper, duper secrets? Because we're not really in charge, someone else is. Could be Sweden, who knows?
But it's okay when he does it.
Okay, no, because there was actually human shields, and then that's why, and then a collateral damage, and then this more moral pervert, and then the other perverts are bad, but he's the most moral pervert.
The underage
so
girls
it was
were
okay.
threats to his national security.
Yeah, hey, look, he had to do something, collect tapes on all of our politicians. By the way, Bobby Kennedy Jr. also on the list. Huge Israeli supporter for no apparent reason. Okay, look, you want me to say it? I mean,
no, I think you've said enough.
Okay.
I think you've said enough. I'm gonna end on this though, because look, the whole saga with Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely disgusting. You're talking about a man who has powerful connections, a man who had victimized dozens of underage girls, and some on the right say that they take that issue seriously, but apparently not members of the House Judiciary Committee, Republican members of the House Judiciary Committee, who decided to post this today on X. It's basically, they claim they have a link to the Epstein files release, but when you click on it, it's the Rick Astley video, Never Gonna Give You Up.
I mean, the government is effing with you so much that they're like, we're gonna rickroll you on the Epstein files.
Yeah. And
we're gonna rub it in your face. You're never gonna get those files. Is it because it involves the most powerful people in our government or in another government? Could be Taiwan, I don't know. Or another government, we don't know. And probably because of how powerful whoever that is, we'll probably never ever know.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, China.
Back on TYT. Let me go to all your comments at TYT.com. All right, by the way, we do polls there. So if you go to TYT.com/polls, should we have Steve Bannon on? So that's just for paying members, because that's the core of the community, and we want to serve you guys. So check that poll out. And then we got a fun one on the gold cards on the main page on TYT.com. That's a story we're going to get to later. All right, let's go to the members. Jason Von Argo says that special ally also is one of the world's best espionage organizations at their fingertips. He may have info nobody else does. Taiwan's that good? Okay. Solidarity Works says, I think this stage managed news story is the most grotesquely comedic the regime has offered the public yet. But remember, guys, so for all the folks who said, oh, Cenk, boo, don't talk to any Trump voters, don't try to work with them, they're all cults, blah, 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 blah. Do you think that Donald Trump and all these guys would have given a damn if the left was complaining about this? They wouldn't have cared at all. But MAGA's on fire over it. All of a sudden, they're like, South District, Southern District, New York. We're going to get some files. No, it's taking a long time. Oh, okay, interesting. Uriah Heep says that lone gunman killed JFK and Epstein. See how it is to make up a conspiracy? Yippee! You know what it was? No, it was the bed sheet itself that did it. It came to life. Controlled by Snape, I don't know. Okay, as long as we're making things up, but I'm sure it was suicide. What were the chances it was actually suicide? The tape is out, the video recorder's out in the hallway. The guards, both guards are away for half an hour. Just when he decides to commit suicide, how did he know the video recorder was off when he decided to commit suicide? I don't know if they're ever going to get caught, but it's becoming more and more obvious what actually happened. Okay, Ernest Flowerchild says, let's be real, Bondi's waiting for bribes. If all of a sudden a certain, let's say maybe Taiwan, TAPAC, gives a giant amount of donations to the Republican Party, and all of a sudden we can't see the Epstein files, I don't know. Camp Corona Dad, a binder, what, no laptop? I guess Southern District of New York is working with the 1980s tech. Well, that actually could be true. K-Dragon Battling for Truth and Justice says, I swear Cenk and Anna, all of TYT have been delivering an advanced course in government corruption for the past 20 years. I learned to follow the money in high school and went to college with TYT. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I love you guys. Post-traumatic South Disorder says, I find the conservative Q Fox News thirst for Epstein stories a little inappropriate, that's a fun word, and kind of a he who smelt a dealt it vibe, right? But either way, I like that they're riling things up and getting people to want the information. Winter Scoop says Trump always sides with the richer person. The guest might have been a lot richer than Epstein. That's not impossible. Santos Wante says, does this
Santos Wante?
Oh, well, look at that love out there.
I haven't heard from him in a long time.
Okay, there you go, Santos. Apparently you should write in more. Does this generation know what a phone book is? Okay, yeah, meaning like, yeah, you could have a lot of people on your phone book and nobody's seen it in a long time. I tried to explain it to my friends.
Luckily, they're not taking the phone book and thinking everyone in there is like his client. So people know what it is, like, yeah.
Jenks Left tries to Furious says, Bondi, we're not done getting Trump's fingerprints off everything. Could be. All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Anna, and Lori Holmes. Lori, welcome. Welcome to our wonderful little community here. She hit the join button, you can too. You could also get 2 months off of annual membership at tyt.com. And I'm gonna read one fun comment for you guys from a new YouTube member. A Farkar wrote in, Noise, I'm a YouTube member again, usually just through the site. Love your Cenk and Anna, also absolutely loved your book, Cenk. Can I get a shout out? Much love, keep going TYT strong. Thank you for all that, we appreciate it. You get the book at tyt.com/justice, and you just got a shout out. Welcome to the community, we love you guys. All right, Casper.
Well, it looks like Trump's looking to sell parts of the United States to China. Let's watch.
A little murmuring in MAGA land about the comments about China today. Did MAGA vote for China to be able to buy up more American real estate or American companies, they ask?
Is that really a question? Really? That's what we're doing now? The spin? That's the spin?
Last night, Laura Ingraham and Alina Habba had a heated back and forth on the issue of Chinese investments in America. Now, let me just preface this by saying, I can't believe how much I agree with Laura Ingraham on this matter, but I do agree with Laura Ingraham on this matter, and I also agree with anyone else who thinks it's a crazy idea to allow foreign countries and foreign businesses to buy American real estate, American land. You get the picture. But nonetheless, yesterday Trump said that he would actually welcome those investments. But Ingraham, not a big fan of his comments.
I see so many things saying that we don't want China in this country. That's not right. We want them to invest in the United States. That's good. There's a lot of money coming in, and we'll invest in China.
Oh, okay. But China's already bought up American companies, agricultural interests, and huge swaths of land and properties, including some that we've documented here on The Angle near our military bases. But did MAGA turn out for Trump because they wanted more of that? Or they want thousands of more foreign workers here to drive down wages and opportunities for Americans? A fine line must be walked. Americans first, always, no matter what the donors want.
Damn right.
Wow.
No, I agree with her. I totally agree with her. In fact, I got a lot of heat because, and by the way, this isn't just a China thing. I don't think any foreign country should be buying up American land or American real estate, period. Okay, by the way, you wanna talk about China? You wanna talk about China? Let's go to downtown Los Angeles, where there is a massive abandoned high rise that a Chinese firm started building. They run out of money, they go bankrupt, and that's it, they take off. And that building is, I mean, it's just covered in graffiti. It has become a complete utter disaster. It's right next to the Staples Center that's been renamed Crypto, whatever, but Staples Center.
Yeah, so look at Laura Ingraham calling out the donors, let alone everything else.
Yeah, I like it.
And what donor is she talking about? Because there is one donor that has a lot of deals with China, and his name rhymes with Tilon. So that was an interesting call out there. And so for everyone on the left who said, no, there'll never be any lack of unity on the right, that everyone in right-wing media and everyone in Trump voters will never break with him and they'll justify every single thing he does. There's Fox News and Laura Ingraham. By the way, this is just one of like 3 stories today where they're in open rebellion.
Well, look,
right?
I think people, look, I don't know what percentage, we haven't run a study or a poll on it, but I think at least some people who voted for Trump and believed in his message are now starting to wake up to the fact that the MAGA movement has completely been co-opted by tech billionaires and corporate interests. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's like you can see it, and you can see how much Trump has like flip-flopped on some of his core messaging, right? I mean, think about it. I remember Greg Abbott in Texas and Ron DeSantis in Florida got a lot of flack from the left because they banned Chinese investment in residential real estate, near military bases. They banned China from being able to buy land in their states. And I thought, no, I think this is the right course of action, especially when it comes to residential real estate, which a lot of these, foreign business people like to park their money in, but they have no interest in actually living in those homes. It robs the American people of the limited housing inventory that's left out there. It's disgusting. So I like what happened in Texas and in Florida. Trump was supposed to be totally in line with that. All of a sudden, no, we want their investments.
So we're gonna show you a little bit more of Ingraham and Habba brawling a little bit. It was super interesting. And there's one tiny clip that makes all the difference. And I'm ready to declare it. They're gonna get caught. Now I mean Trump and Elon. So I want to explain why, but first let's give you the context here, and then I want to go to that short clip that I think is so telling.
So Ingraham brought on Habba, and they were, getting into a bit of a argument. It's a heated argument about this whole situation. Let's take a look.
That's the spin. Yeah, no. What the president said was very simple. It's the same policy we've had across the board. When you look at reciprocal tariffs, when you look at the strong arm that President Trump has had with China, with Canada, with Mexico, we want America to be safe. We care about American people first. It's like what you just said in your monologue. I couldn't have said it better. America first.
Alina, but you can't buy, reciprocity would mean Americans can go off and buy lots of Chinese real estate, no. Near military bases, which I know President Trump is not in favor of. No. But the concern obviously is like, we want to do, the deals are great and so much of them are phenomenal, but you see where Democrats are starting to like worm their way into the populist agenda and say, whoa, how is that for the American worker to bring in thousands of more foreign workers? That is what some on the MAGA side are, they're kind of whispering about, but nevertheless, it's out there.
Don't whisper about it because you're right. You're right. Okay, those who are against what Trump is saying about Chinese investment in the United States are correct. Whether you're on the left or the right, who cares, right? Are you or are you not concerned about our country and investments within our country?
Okay, so they're fighting, but they're trying to keep it civil.
Totally.
Right, and so, I mean, some of the deals are great and all that. And so she doesn't want to blame right at all to Laura Ingraham. And so that's why she invented this thing with the Democrats are worming their way into populism. Really? Is Chuck Schumer doing that? Is Hakeem Jeffries doing that?
He's the king of worming his way into populism.
Really, seriously, like I didn't know we and O'Connor and Bernie were that powerful because we're about the only ones doing left-wing populism and insisting on left-wing populism and not like corporate or far left or anything like that. Like that's the lane, right?
Right.
Somehow okay, great. I'm super happy to take it. Yes,
we're worming our way in. We're worming our way in.
Yes, we've been populist for 20 years.
But
welcome, Laura.
Obviously, the criticism that she's hearing and the criticism that she herself agrees with is coming from right-wing Trump voters for good reason. This goes against, it flies in the face of what Trump promised and what he campaigned on. Now, let's go to the final video where Habba gets the last word on this argument with Laura Ingraham.
Let me clarify that then, if there's any confusion. What the president was referring to was us continuing to have business relations. We do import, export, of course we do. That is what we're talking about. Yes, we are going to be a strong nation. Yes, we are going to have peace through strength. Yes, we are going to have a stronger economy, and we are going to cut the fat through DOJ, through the president's initiatives, and what we have voted, the American people have voted for on November 5th. But that means that, yes, we're going to be tough, but we still want to make money. We still want to be producing. We still want to work with other countries. China's just another example. It's a lot like, Laura, when the president says something like Putin is bright or Putin, that doesn't mean he's praising him. That means that he is acknowledging the situation. What is good for America? What is America first? If you say we're not going to have Amazon, we're not going to have anything imported or exported with China, that's not realistic. That's not what he's saying. We want to do business, but it's got to be done the right way. And that is what the president was referring to. But of course, the spin is real, as you know.
I thought the mention of Amazon was fascinating in what she said there because, Jeff Bezos has been on his hands and knees, praising Donald Trump. He just censored his own editorial, writers.
They're allowed to talk about freedom.
They're allowed to talk about
although they're not free to talk about freedom.
Exactly. Okay. So, but look, make no mistake, Amazon would collapse if it didn't have access to cheaply made, Chinese goods that of course are manufactured using, exploited labor in China as well. So yeah. I think that there are multiple factors behind Donald Trump's decision to essentially renege on his promises to his own voters when it comes to this type of issue. But look, the broader picture is there's the corporate wing and then there's the populist wing. The corporate wing has completely taken over Trump's administration. Yeah,
not the voters, but the administration.
100%.
So look, guys, can you make some deals with China? Of course. Should we cut off all trade to China? Of course not. Import, export, sure, right? But that doesn't mean that they should get to buy real estate, and you could have real rules around that. What does Trump care the most about? And if you don't know it, if you're on the right, come on, guys, I don't know when you're gonna catch up. Money. He cares about money to himself, to his friends and allies so that he could have even more power and money. And so if you think, no, he's got our best interest in mind, okay, all right, let's see how it turns out. But you're beginning to see how it turns out, and that's why there's the murmurs. So this is my favorite part of that interview. It's a short little part, and it's gonna lead to my explanation of why Trump and Elon are gonna get caught. Let's watch.
A little murmuring in MAGA land about the comments about China today.
A little murmuring in MAGA land, okay? Okay, I mean, I don't want to say told you, but there it is. So, and that's just the beginning.
I want to hear the howls because I can't begin to tell you how much I agree with them on this issue.
Yeah, and so look on our populist plank, tyt.com. private equity shouldn't be able to buy our houses.
Damn right.
Because it drives up housing prices and makes it unaffordable for us. Also true of China and Saudi Arabia and other countries that are buying up tons of houses.
Yes.
Okay, so now, why do I think they're gonna get caught? One is the media is different than it was before, guys. It's not like, oh yeah, but the right-wing media is lovely now. No. But it's diverse now. They all have slightly different interests, and they might all be right-wing, but they're coming at it from different right-wing positions and libertarian positions and some positions that are like, wait, that's so populist, I'm not even sure that's right-wing. That sounds exactly like Bernie, right? And so in the old days, there was no point in going on right-wing shows. Why didn't I do it before? Because it's just talking point after talking point, and I could tell you exactly what they were gonna say before I went on their shows, because they were all saying the same exact thing Sean Hannity said. Because Fox News had a monopoly on right-wing media, so everyone sounded like they had just watched Sean Hannity, right? Now when I go on their shows, they're disagreeing with each other. They're disagreeing with other right-wing hosts. And then I told you, look, that you got the bros who are not even MAGA and who are not even necessarily Republicans at all, like Dave Portnoy. And today, Dave Portnoy scathing comments about Trump administration and what the hell is going on here, and none of the things we were promised is happening. So you think you're gonna contain the bros? They don't even have any alliance. Like
they don't have any loyalty, right? Like exactly. So those are the unwieldy, like it's kind of actually exciting to hear like real pushback against what Trump is doing, because again, look, any other politician, especially like when you compare what happened in Trump's first term, right? It felt like no one was ever willing to admit that he had reneged on his promises when he would renege on his promises. This time around, it is different.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, and I like that.
God, I was
necessary.
so right.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. I got to get to the second part. So look, so you got the different kinds of media, and you're not going to be able to continue. Rogan was endorsed Bernie Sanders back in 2016. He has no alliance to all the other apparatus of the Republican Party and the corruption, etc. So now, in the old days, Fox News would drive the message, and then MAGA would receive the message, or Republicans would receive the message, and they would regurgitate it. Now, because the media is so diversified and split up into different parts, now MAGA is driving the message, and Fox News is repeating it. It's totally flipped on its head. That's why Laura Ingraham, who loved the Pentagon and thought we should do infinite defense spending, a couple of months ago did a segment about when we're going to cut defense. In fact, she did another one today. Last night, about what the hell, when are we gonna cut defense, right? So you think Fox News wanted to cut defense? No. Now they're all talking about, the Iraq war is terrible. That's the same Fox News that was like, the Iraq war is the greatest thing in the world, and anyone who disagrees is a commie pig, right? Now they're like telling you the Iraq war was a disaster and Dick Cheney was a disaster. So now they're challenging you on China, on this and that and the other thing. It's because MAGA is murmuring, and now they're driving the agenda. And it doesn't mean that MAGA's angels, some of the agenda for us on the left, will hate, especially on some social issues. But on some of the economic issues and some of the corruption issues, here we are where they're going, wait, I thought we were against China buying us.
Yeah, and look, for people who are against it, they are correct. For those who are not against it, they are incorrect. And the reason why they're incorrect is because real estate should be purchased by American citizens, especially housing-related real estate. And if you want to know what the numbers are, let's go to the first graphic here. Chinese companies have spent well over $100 billion acquiring US companies since 2010, many of which will have owned real estate holdings. The National Association of Realtors, for example, reported that during 2020, Chinese buyers were the top foreign buyers of US commercial real estate. And by the way, that wasn't just the case in 2020. Chinese buyers have led foreign investments in US homes for the past 7 years. Why are they buying homes in the United States? In 2019 through 2020, they bought US home properties worth $11.5 billion, or little more than a sixth of the total.
That is
they bought
unbelievable.
A sixth of the total in home sales in that year.
That is unbelievable.
That's unacceptable. That's freaking unacceptable, okay? It's unacceptable. And I love it when people come at me like, you're being bigoted. I don't care about whether it's China. I don't care if it's Armenia. If Armenia was some rich country and was able to spend that kind of money buying up homes in the United States that they have no intention in living in, but are robbing the American people the opportunity of having to buy, I wouldn't be okay with that. I would not be okay with that. This has nothing to do with bigotry. It has to do with the fact that Americans continue to get fleeced by our own government, inviting foreign investments into our own country and essentially screwing over American citizens. That's not okay.
Yeah, my kids are Chinese. My wife is Chinese. What? It's not hateful to say, hey, the Chinese government or Chinese citizens, my kids and my wife are American citizens, obviously, shouldn't be able to buy property. You can debate that issue, but it's not about China. It's same thing would apply to Saudi Arabia and Russia and whoever else.
Even Italy. Even
the lovely Italians.
I love the Italians, man. I love them a lot, okay? I want to one day live with them, among them. However, I don't want them buying up American homes. Sorry.
Okay, so again, you could debate that issue, but it has nothing to do with race and allowing them to do this for favors, etc., for whoever the donors are that Laura Ingraham is referring to is not populism at all. It's the exact opposite. Look, when Trump was in last time, Fox News still had the monopoly. So what did he do? He came in, passed giant corporate tax cuts and did almost nothing else, okay? So this time he thought he's gonna do the same playbook. Last time he stuffed his cabinet full of Goldman Sachs guys. This time he's brought in tons of billionaires. So we went from Goldman Sachs to Elon Sachs. But either way, he's doing the same exact playbook. And what is the first thing? Guys, everything else is distractions other than the budget. The budget is real, that's where the money is, that's where the action is. And what did they just propose this week? $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for rich and corporations, just like he did in his first term, and increased defense spending by $100 billion. So back to the same exact corporate playbook, and they think they're not going to get caught, but they are. And they're gonna get caught by their own voters, let alone the rest of us. And this time, it's gonna be super interesting to see what happens when they do get caught.
By the way, I misspoke. I just want to clarify. So when I mentioned a sixth of the housing was purchased in that year, it wasn't just by China, it was foreign investors overall. So let's ban all of them. We gotta go, let's take a break. When we come back, let's get into, let's see, what are we gonna get into? Oh, a bunch of Israel stories. All right, we'll be right back.
Israel first.
China.
All right, guys, so we got Operation Hope next Wednesday, so tyt.com/hope to sign up. I'm gonna chat with you guys about progress, and we've got great progress. Here, I'll tell you one right now. Dan Osborne just signed. He's the independent who ran in Nebraska. Super interesting guy, first non-Democrat to sign. I love it. So that's also going to be shown after the bonus episode for members. So become a member and check out Operation Hope. And of course, you can do that through tyt.com/join. We're actually trying to get to 2,000 members, new members by the end of February. We're at around 16 something or other, so we got some ways to go here to get to 2,000 within the next couple of days. So if you want to join, right now is a perfect time to join. Again, annual membership, you get 2 months off. So tyt.com/join. And then one more thing that I want to tell you guys. Oh, while you're there, by the way, check out tyt.com/impacts. So those are the different things that we've done in the world together. If we don't do it together, there's no way we're gonna have enough impact. So check that out. I'm planning a lot more going forward. And then one more thing that's just fun. We talked about on Tuesday's Operation Joy. Phyllis is in a contest here for America's favorite pet. Judith works here. That's Judith's dog companion. Is that what we? Yes, I think that's what we call it.
It's a dog.
Okay, okay. So by 7 o'clock tonight Pacific, so 10 o'clock Eastern, the voting's going to end. Show the QR code for good folks. She goes on the cover of Modern Dog magazine. That's just fun, and it's nice that a part of the community wins. That's why we're having fun with it. We appreciate everybody getting involved. She's in the semifinals. We'd love to get her in the quarterfinals, and she's got to be the first out of this group. Anyway, the whole cash prize is going to go to Pasadena Humane Society, and right now she's in 5th place. So we got to get those votes going. And Pasadena Humane Society has been terrific to pets, animals hurt by the fires in LA. All right, so Dirge wrote in. Oh, I just talked to Dirge. You know how I make calls for people who donated earlier? So good to talk to you again, brother. Democrats should loudly state that any foreign land that Trump sells will be taken back by eminent domain as soon as Democrats get back in power, discourage anyone from wanting to buy.
That would be smart.
Yeah, there's a 0% chance they're gonna do that. So why did they not emphasize the Epstein files when Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Because they're also in the Epstein files. So why did they not emphasize Miriam Adelson and all the money from Israel interests to go to Trump? Because they also have money from Israeli interests. Why did they not emphasize all the other donors? Because they also have donors. It's always the same thing. The Democrats don't want to fix this problem either. At the Gravel Pit says, haha, it was the same bullet that killed JFK and Epstein after it went through a micro wormhole through space-time that also turned it into a sheet. It's so obvious. Okay, that's probably what they'll try next. Jenks Left Tricep of Fury says, I'm with Anna on that. No outside country should own housing in the US when we have so many people here needing housing.
Yep.
Stoner Dragon says, the neighborhood I grew up in is now 100 times more expensive because of a Chinese family that built 3 huge mansions and live in one. Skyrocketed property value, crazy. Old Woodsman 53 says, as the folks in Vancouver, ask the folks in Vancouver how they feel about the Chinese purchasing all of the real estate there.
I know.
China.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Anna. Look at all these wonderful people. Sherlonda Asante, Tyrone at home, and Christy Extel Smith. Thank you for upgrading. And anybody who joins at the high levels, thank you guys so much, because that allows us to keep prices low for everybody, make sure everybody's getting all of our programming. If you can, check out, if you're a new member, make sure you're checking out the old Operation Joyce too. We had a great one on Tuesday. None of that goes up on YouTube at all. So that's just for members. Check that out once you get into membership, all right? Anna.
All right, well, a Republican congressman feels very strong feelings toward Israel and some of the propaganda that the Israeli government has been spewing. In fact, he wants to implement that propaganda here in the United States. Let's watch.
You know what? If there's an American hell or somebody else being held, there should be every expectation that Americans come and kill them as well.
I would encourage the other side to not so lightly throw around the idea of innocent Palestinian civilians, as is frequently said. I don't think we would so lightly throw around the term innocent Nazi civilians.
You haven't seen the pictures of all the babies being killed?
These are not innocent Palestinian civilians across the world. When you're looking at the 500,000 people starving to death, are people that should go out there and put a government in place that doesn't go out there and attack Israel on a daily basis.
Well, that was Republican Congressman Brian Mast, who you just watched in that compilation, and he has now issued a pretty disturbing memo to staffers of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, which he chairs. The memo states that Republican staffers must refer to the West Bank as Judea and Samaria, AKA the Hebrew name for the territory. Now, of course, it is the internationally recognized territory of the Palestinians that they're currently being driven out of by Israeli settlers and the IDF. But here are some excerpts from the memo that Mast sent to staffers. He says, in recognition of our unbreakable bond with Israel and the inherent right of the Jewish people to their ancient homeland, the House Foreign Affairs Committee will, from here forward, refer to the West Bank as Judea and Samaria in formal correspondence, communication, and documentation. He also wrote that Jewish roots in this region span centuries, and as representatives of the American people, we must do our part to stem this reprehensible tide of anti-Semitism and recognize Israel's rightful claim to the cradle of Jewish civilization. It is worth noting that Mast once volunteered with the Israeli Defense Forces, and in 2023, he also showed up to Congress wearing the IDF's military garb or uniform. And based on open secrets and FEC filings, Mast has taken a ton of money from AIPAC.
Of course.
$679,370.
The only reason it's not in the millions is because they didn't need to buy him that much. I mean, this fool went and chose to sign up for the IDF when he's not even an Israeli citizen, he's not anything. And so, trenchant question we're asking in the live chat on YouTube is Brian Mast a genocidal maniac?
Yes.
And yeah, I vote a very, very strong yes. I mean, you saw those clips. Palestinian babies aren't babies, they're Nazi civilians. What is that? What is that? He loves murdering Palestinians. He loves funding the murder of Palestinians. He loves justifying it and calling it Judea and Samaria. Look, I know religious lunatics call it that. And the reason they call it that is because they want Israel to slaughter all the Palestinians and steal that land. And that's called from the river to the sea. And I know when a Palestinian says from the river to the sea, they should be banned, arrested, canceled. They should never be allowed to say anything ever again. But when Netanyahu said it and Brian Mast says it, now they're trying to make it official government policy. So now this committee, the morons on this committee, I guess they're gonna follow orders from the IDF soldier, literally, Brian Mast, a literal IDF soldier, and so much so that he's wearing it to Congress, the uniform to Congress. Understand, make Israel great again. I mean, America, right? Israel first, and he's saying now you must use the language of our occupiers. I mean, of the Palestinian occupiers, I mean Palestinian liberators, we liberated them from their lives. And so now you all have to say Judea and Samaria. I don't know if they also have to chant from the river to the sea. Israel shall take all of your goddamn land and murder you all and your babies. By the way, 800 babies killed so far at a bare minimum. That is between the ages of 0 and 1. Bare minimum, 800 babies. Were they also terrorists?
According
if you listen to a genocidal maniac like Brian Mast,
yep.
Yeah, they are, right? So this is what's happening. Pro-life, where are you? Let me see you, okay? And by the way, some of the right wing are beginning to say, and this is brand new. Before they'd say, look, some that were disgruntled would say, why are we spending all this money on Israel? Like, why don't we bring that money back home? We canceled every piece of foreign aid except to Israel and their ally Egypt. So why don't we bring that home? Now, for the first time, I'm starting to see MAGA going, plus, why are we killing all those people? And that's like a new thought that has occurred to folks. And they're beginning to think like, wait, is it the moral thing? October 7th of which year? That was now like several years ago, and they're still slaughtering the children. And which part of this is conservative or family values or America first?
All right, well, if Trump gets his way, we're gonna kill a lot more people in Gaza specifically. So let's talk about what he posted on Truth Social recently.
We're gonna be selling a gold card. You have a green card, this is a gold card. We're gonna be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's gonna give you green card privileges plus. It's gonna be a route to citizenship. And wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy and they'll be successful and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. It's a path to citizenship, a very strong path to citizenship, but we're not doing the citizenship. For that, I'd have to get Congress.
Well, the Trump administration is planning a major reform to the EB-5 immigrant investor visa. It's a program that basically fast-tracked wealthier individuals who wanted to come to the United States and have legal status to be in the United States. Now, according to Trump, this gold card program that would replace the EB-5 immigrant investor visa program, which was created in 1990, by the way, would basically have a higher monetary threshold associated with it in order for an individual to qualify for the program. So just a little more information about EB-5, which will be replaced with the gold card. So EB-5 was primarily used by residents in Hong Kong and China who had business in the United States or wanted to have their children study in the United States. Its purpose was to basically stimulate the US economy through job creation and capital investment by foreign investors. Now, Trump wants to replace that with something that, again, has a much higher monetary threshold. But prior to that, the EB-5 would make the necessary, someone applying for it would have to make the necessary investment in a commercial enterprise in the US or plan to create or prepare 10 permanent full-time jobs for qualified US workers. And under the EB-5 visa, residency is granted if at least $1.05 million is invested in new businesses that create jobs in the US. So the idea, again, is to stimulate the economy. Now, Commerce Secretary.
Yeah, that was the original idea, I hear you. This new gold card is theoretically take care of the deficit. That's why I want to explain to you guys the real trick they're gonna do in a sec.
Okay, so let's just do that now. Go ahead.
Okay, so he says, well, look, I've got $5 million, we're gonna get $5 million per this gold card. And if we just had 1 million people buy it, we'd get 5 trillion. He says, we get 10 million people to buy it, we get 50 trillion, we solve the whole debt. We're done with it, okay? And so his idea is get his own side like thinking, oh, that's it, it's all solved. The gold card, that's gonna do it. Now, 10 million people buying at $5 million. Do you know that there's only 9 million people in the world that have more than $5 million? So it's gonna be a little bit hard to get to 10 million because they don't even have it. That number doesn't even exist, let alone all 9 million buying. What doesn't make any sense either. Look, my guess is about 17 people are gonna buy this, and almost all Russian oligarchs, as Anna's about to explain to you. But the idea is, oh, we cut so much and we raised so much. Don't worry about that $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for corporations. Don't worry about it. The gold card. Plus we cut malaria treatment. We're good. No, it's enormous hole in deficit incoming.
So let's go to graphic 2 because Trump did get some questions about Russian oligarchs, and Trump added it is possible Russian oligarchs could qualify for the new gold cards when asked by a journalist if those people would be eligible. Yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people, he said. Sure you do.
There's 5 people on both sides.
Yep, sure you do. Okay, now John Hu, the founder of the John Hu migration consulting firm in Hong Kong, states that the total number of applicants, if the golden visa is going to replace the EB-5, will drop significantly. So to your point, Cenk, there aren't really a lot of people that would, have the funds to basically buy their immigration status in America.
He said, who is gonna buy these?
Right, that's exactly right. I don't care.
Okay, yeah, but by the way, that is actually in my opinion, the correct reaction.
Yeah.
Because if you care about it, don't if you're on the left, don't sweat it. Like 17 oligarchs gonna buy it. They were gonna find a way in any way. Trump was gonna find a way. They're very nice, fine people, right? So they don't worry. It is what it is. Once Trump got elected, they were gonna get something, right? So, and if you're on the right, brother, just don't delude yourself into thinking this is gonna cover the $4.5 trillion. This is not gonna cover anything. You can quote me on it, you could write it down in stone, okay? Come back and see if 1 million people spent $5 million to get a gold card. Absolute fantasy land. And it's just to distract you. So Anna's right. I don't really care one way or another. Sure, do the gold card, but it's not gonna amount to a hill of beans.
Yeah, it's just taking a visa program that we have and upping the monetary threshold necessary to qualify for the visa program. Okay.
Yeah, and look, so there's out of 500,000 athletes in the NCAAs, only 10 are trans. So we all like obsessed with like 10 people out of 330 million people, right? And then in this case, oh my God, 10 people are gonna get the gold card, obsessed. These are squirrels. Like, I'm not saying don't care about issues. I'm not saying don't care about rights. I'm just saying focus, right? What is the actual thing that they wanna do? Giant tax cuts and subsidies and contracts to the donor class. Focus.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back for the second hour, I will get to that story that I promised about what Trump posted about Gaza on Truth Social. And then later we will talk about other things that are happening in the news that you do not want to miss. Come right back.
I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken when I first got my license, like 17 years old or 17, 18, whatever it was. And I'm driving, I think my dad's Oldsmobile, and I parked it in a place where there was two cars next to me, really tight spot, and a car behind me. I don't even know how I got in there because I'm a terrible driver. Back then I was an even worse driver. And on the roads I'm okay, but in parking spots I have terrible spatial reasoning and I'm a mess. And on my way out, I hit all three cars at once. I broke all records, okay? So I went, as I'm backing out, I went boom, oh, and this side hit that car, this side hit this car, and the back hit the third car, okay? And I got stuck. I didn't know how to get out. Like, I went, okay, for this, and then I'm like, no, and then, right? And then finally I had to stop, go inside the KFC and go, A, I'm sorry, I hit a bunch of your cars. They're like, what do you mean a bunch of your cars? I'm like, I don't know. Wow, there's a B? Yeah. I'm like, I hit 3 cars. I don't know. So you guys gotta come help me, okay? Okay, so one, my bad. Really sorry about that. Okay, number 2, can someone take my car out? Because I don't want to keep hitting your cars, and I'm incapable of taking it out of this spot.
Now baby, move that fat, baby, move that fat.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. This is Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT, TYT.
The place is like 95% TYT on.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Tank and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
All the people who support us on the internet, that's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning, they seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you guys.
The biggest problem we have in the whole world, it's not global warming, it's nuclear warming. Okay.
All right, back on TYT. Cenk, Anna, and Tahisha Tai. Thanks for joining. We appreciate it. They hit a beautiful join button right underneath the video on YouTube. All right, Casper.
Well, buckle up for the video that you're about to see a snippet of. This was posted by Donald Trump.
No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here.
Well, that was a small snippet of a bizarre and pretty gross AI-generated video that Donald Trump had posted on Truth Social, showing what his vision for Gaza is: a gaudy resort town built on stolen land, paid for by the American people. Let's watch the whole thing.
Finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Okay, well, look, he didn't create the video, someone else did, but he did feel the need to post it. And this comes after Cenk. He had made comments about how the US is going to take Gaza. At first, he said that our soldiers were going to be stationed in Gaza, essentially protecting the land as moneyed interests and, Trump-associated companies build a resort town, but then he backed off a little bit of that messaging, but he's still dead set on taking over Gaza to make money.
So look, the other thing we're underestimating here, and is something that I was obsessed by in his first term, which is how unintelligent Donald Trump is. So yeah, he's got good marketing skills, and it's so sad that the Democrats couldn't even do that. Like, they can't rise above the lowest bar. So I acknowledge all the, the other politicians are not very good at this either, right? But when other politicians think things through, right or wrong, right? And so they'll come, like, if they wanted to help Israel steal Gaza, which almost all of the politicians do, minus Bernie Sanders and a couple of good, decent folks, right? So they would come up with a sophisticated plan. And they would pretend to be doing something else, and oh my God, we couldn't help it. The Hamas made us take all of their land because of human shields, blah, blah, the usual propaganda. Trump is a bit of a buffoon. He's like, yeah, that's right, why don't we just take it and move all of them out, and then I'll build Trump Gaza, and then I'll be rich, and we'll have nice waterfront property there, and then you guys the rest of the world will get to party there on the dead corpses of the Palestinian children. It'll be great. You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah,
right?
But who's gonna stop him, Cenk?
Well, that's the thing. What was interesting about this is what we were talking about earlier in the show. The left isn't gonna stop them. The left hasn't been able to stop our own guys, Biden, Kamala Harris. They were going the same path, not as gross in terms of how they put it, but the same path. They let Israel slaughter all those people in Gaza, and they were gonna let them take the land, right?
Yeah, Biden allowed Netanyahu, the Israeli government, and the IDF to basically level Gaza. And that's what Donald Trump, by the way, keeps talking about, how it's uninhabitable. Yeah, why do you think it's uninhabitable? We did that, okay? We supplied the bombs that allowed Israel and the IDF to level the Gaza Strip. The whole point was to make it uninhabitable. I think the Israeli government was pretty clear about that from the very beginning, okay? So to add insult to injury, Trump's like, oh, no one can live in Gaza. So we're gonna ethnically cleanse that area and then build a resort town that I can profit off of.
Yeah, so guys, we know this part. The interesting part, I think, is something else, which I'm gonna get to in one sec. But just to finish the thought here, so Trump makes it more obscene, right? But is he gonna listen to the left? He never listens to the left on anything. And the left couldn't get its own leaders to do anything. So I wish the left was super powerful and could get him to change, but in this situation we can't. The only thing that can get him to change is his own base. So how is his base reacting to this? And in the past, they would have been like, in the first term, yes, sir, absolutely, sir, how high, sir, right? In this case, they're not doing that. So they had a mixed bag. So he said, hey, let's put ground troops in Gaza and make sure the bombs explode on us instead of Israeli soldiers. And there was a massive pushback from MAGA going, no, we're not putting troops on the ground in Gaza. That's freaking nuts. You want to turn it into a Riviera? You want to kill more Palestinians? I guess. I don't really care. But we're not putting ground troops in, right? So he backpedaled out of that within 24 hours. So now he puts this up, super curious to see what happens. All of a sudden, MAGA's like, this is gross, man. What are you doing? Like, not only do we not want the ground troops, not only do we not want to keep spending money there, but this is actively gross. And I gotta be honest with you, I was shocked by that. And if you're on the right and you're a Trump voter and you're pissed at me for being shocked that you would care about the Palestinians, go ahead and get pissed. You have a right to be pissed. Well, you don't, because in the past you've never shown that you cared about the Palestinians. But now all of a sudden, like, who's it, Ian Miles Chung?
No, don't cite him.
No, but my point is, like, really right-wing characters, not anywhere near the middle, okay, are like, and not just him, tons of them. And even on Fox News, they're talking about how the majority of MAGA, and not even Trump voters, independents, the majority of MAGA was like, what the hell is this stupid video? What are you doing? We don't want to go to Gaza. We don't want to build a Riviera there. And for the first time in my life, they're saying, by the way, we're getting a little tired of killing all these people. Like, why are we constantly paying to kill what at this point appear to be innocent people? And they're starting to snap out of the propaganda about how Israel's our special ally and all the Muslims are dirty terrorists. They're beginning to see for the first time, wait, maybe the Muslims aren't the bad guys. We've been constantly invading them. Israel's been taking their land, occupying them. Oh my God, have we been, I mean, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. But I've seen for the first time something I thought was impossible. Right-wing voters saying, have we been unfair to Muslims? Okay, it's just tiny amount, tiny, but I'll take it. It's a good start, but they hated this video.
I think people like Dave Smith, and I disagree with Dave Smith on a lot of things, okay, but I give him a lot of credit on what he has to say about this particular issue. And he's got obviously a massive libertarian audience, some of whom are right-wing as well, and they trust him. And he's very knowledgeable on this issue, and he's showing them the receipts. He's talking about it in detail, in depth. And so I really do respect him for his position on this issue and taking time on his show regularly to inform people about what's actually going on in Gaza.
I'll just quick double down. I would argue, and this is the obnoxious part, but along with us two, I would dare say, Dave Smith is the best in the business on this issue.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's perfect on this issue, and he's affecting a lot of right-wingers and libertarians going, well, what he's saying is inarguable. How is it America first to constantly serve Israel, et cetera, et cetera?
Now, interestingly enough, the White House Deputy Press Secretary, Anna Kelly, put out a statement. NBC News reached out and wanted to know, hey, this AI generated video is getting a lot of attention. Does the White House have anything to say about it? Here's what Anna Kelly said. As President Trump has said, Gaza in its current state is uninhabitable for any human being. President Trump is a visionary, and his plan to have the United States involved in Gaza's rebuilding will allow for Palestinians to resettle in new, beautiful communities while improving conditions in the region for generations to come. Now, let me be clear. The reason why I wanted to read that statement to you is because the White House is still reiterating that the United States will be responsible for building this Riviera resort situation on stolen land. But I also wanted to clarify the last part of her statement, because make no mistake about it, they want to push Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip. They're not going to be living in this beautiful resort town that they're promising here.
They'd be living in tents in the desert, in the Sinai Peninsula, or perhaps in Jordan. So like the idea is, let's push 2 million people out into the desert where they will live terrible lives for the rest of their lives, and we'll kill a ton of them on the way out, so that the rest of the rich people in the world, not regular people, the richest people in the world can go steal their land. Well, I mean, Israel would own it, of course, and they would make the profit off of it. But the rest of us can go party there on their graves.
Yeah, not interested. I would never go there. I would never party there. But I will say this, as of January 25th of this year, more than 13,000 children have been killed by the IDF in Gaza. 25,000 injured, 25,000 hospitalized for malnutrition alone, because of course there had been a long-standing blockade on necessary humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. But I just want to remind you all what the Palestinian children have been going through, Palestinians in general, but the children especially have been going through in Gaza. This is one of the videos that we've covered on the show previously. It's difficult to watch, but it's important for you to know. These are the people who are being victimized on the land that's supposed to belong to them. And Donald Trump looks at that and says, I'm gonna take it for myself. Watch.
ليش تحمل اخوك؟
انت عجبني.
طيب وين مودياها؟
بدي اروح اعالجك.
وانت مش تعبان وانت حملها هيك؟ تعبان ولا لا؟
تعبان ولسه بعملها او مش فاتحني.
وين رايحه انت هالبيت؟
انا رايحه
في المنتزه البريج؟ طب تعال اخذك معايا. يلا اطلع بدي اخذها معايا. بتحبي اختك عشان حملاكي كانت؟ طلع عليا. يلا مع السلامة.
Let's go to Cenk because I can't handle that video.
Yeah. So, you know, there's look. You should care about all human beings, whether they're Muslim, Jewish, or Christian, right? But I don't know that the right wing knows there's a lot of Palestinian Christians, and the bombs don't care if you're Christian or Muslim. They just drop them, and people die, and they die in the most vicious ways: burned alive, crushed by concrete, etc. And so I keep saying it, pro-life folks, are you guys ever gonna care? Over 800 babies dead in the war. 15,000 children, 800 babies at a bare minimum. And so, I mean, if you're a Christian pro-life person and you're paying Israel to do this, I mean, our hearts break for the 36 kids killed in Israel in October 7th. Nearly 15,000 kids on the other side. 36 children in Israel, 800 babies in Palestine. The only way that you don't care about it is if you think Palestinian lives, Muslim or Christian, I don't really care about them. I only care about Israeli lives. The rest of them, just slaughter them away and then we'll build casinos on top of them. And it's beyond disgusting. And thank you finally to some of our right-wing brothers and sisters who've begun to realize how gross this is and that we're now morally culpable for funding that.
Okay.
All right, let's take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break.
We'll be right back. Yeah, so let's go to YouTube members first. Marco Antonio wrote in about the Epstein files. They'll release it, totally redacted. Beardo Dragon wrote in, so China and TikTok bad, actual real estate not bad, not bad. So that is an interesting dichotomy there. Armando Rodriguez says they need to be worried about LA and Asheville, North Carolina, and so many other places in America that will make America first. Oh, that's not on Trump's agenda, let alone the flooding in West Virginia that one of our members was talking about a couple of days ago. Trump's nowhere to be found. He's gonna defund FEMA. And are you gonna see $1 of that? No, all going to $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. You're gonna hear me say that thousands of times because that's the only thing that they care about. Okay, there will be zero in savings, zero. If you're a right winger, write it down in stone, hold me to it. Zero in savings, trillions more to the debt, all for the tax cuts. Cod Sterling says, Cod has had critiques of TYT. Okay, it's okay, Cod. I'm kidding around. I've seen your comments many times. All right, but Cenk and Anna have helped inspire me to start an activist T-shirt company. Fighting for progressive progress is why I still support TYT. Thank you, Cod. We appreciate it. Marla's other channel writes in, Anna's great, but I love Cenk. Right back at you, Marla. Okay, BK707, guys, please have docs on who were in Gaza on TYT. It's not about injuries, but about harassment they deal with, how hard it is to go to Gaza and volunteer, and how awful it is to get supplies to Gaza. So we've had folks on from Gaza before, and I'm going to start having more and more people on as well, because they're never going to end. They're just going to keep on killing and stealing now that Trump's in office, until finally America pushes back. So David S. Scarlett said, TYT Army since 2014 always tried to spread the word. When asked, I told people that TYT is anti-Republican and anti-democratic establishment. Now I can just say that you guys are anti-establishment, much better pitch. And added, critics equal clickbait. Yeah, so I mean, again, on any given day, watch the show. You think we're not sufficiently tough on Trump and Elon. I mean, if you watch one show and think that, you're a borderline lunatic. So, okay. Impossible Astronaut says, Cenk, I disagree with you a lot. That make America great. That the Make America Great outreach, however, is both brave and genius. Like you say, take the win. Thank you, I appreciate it. You guys are wonderful for supporting that and understanding that. It's not that hard to understand, actually. So like, hey, do you guys want to do the things that you said you wanted to do? Great, let's hold Trump accountable. Wow, what a revolutionary strategy, but apparently a lot of people don't get it. So Dan Haley, thank you for the super chat, appreciated. Deb Long said, I'm crying, that video broke my heart. Yes. It breaks our heart every time, all the dead parents. And by the way, one of the hostages testified, yeah, Israeli bombs killed my fellow hostages. All right, we'll be back. All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. And one of my new favorite handles of the person who just joined on TYT.com, don't tread on my uterus. There you go. Okay, we protect our rights and we protect uteruses. All right, Anna.
All right, let's talk about the military and a new executive order from the White House. So, the White House is now seeking to actively remove active trans service members, with a few exceptions, from the military. Now, the Trump administration, in his first term, had banned transgender Americans from being able to join the military. The latest executive order takes it a step further, and it's all announced in a Pentagon memo. So the Pentagon memo communicated, well, basically that, yeah, we're going to now remove anyone who is openly transgender within the military. This was revealed as part of a lawsuit that was filed by an activist group, an LGBTQ+ group that sued the White House over their effort in removing transgender people from the military. An earlier memo from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, had said that people with a history of gender dysphoria would no longer be able to join the military, but that they would be treated with dignity and respect. The new memo goes a step further in stating that current service members will be removed if they have gender dysphoria or a history of it. Now, service members have also been treated for, gender dysphoria with hormones or surgery. Like, those individuals will also be banned from the military, and the memo also directs the secretaries of each branch to identify service members with gender dysphoria within the next 30 days and to begin separation actions within 30 days after that. So I'm gonna give you more details on the suit, but Cenk, I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I hate this. And so this is dividing Americans. These folks signed up willing to die for this country. Now what, you're gonna drag them out of the military? and say, we don't want you because we don't like the kind of person you are, it's disgusting. So
we haven't seen a single issue arise within the military in regard to transgender service members serving in the military, right? Like there's nothing so far that I've seen the Trump administration point to as the rationale, the good reason for why they would do something like this. Because honestly, I suspect there isn't a good reason.
Of course.
And you want to talk, hold on, you want to talk about virtue signaling? This is the right-wing version of virtue signaling.
Yes.
Right? Needlessly being cruel to a group of people who haven't caused any problems whatsoever in order to virtue signal to your right-wing base. I am doing what you want me to do and being needlessly cruel to transgender people. Okay, I mean, these are people, again, who are willing to serve in a military that right now is having an incredibly difficult time recruiting Americans to serve in.
Yeah, so look, the responsibility and the fault of this lies completely on the Trump administration that's taking these actions. But whenever something goes wrong, you have to be honest about analyzing how did we get there, okay? And when a pendulum swings too far, it always swings back. And when it swings back, it also swings back too far. So that's why we didn't want that pendulum swinging, because we had it at a pretty good place, which was in the Trump administration, the first time around, they tried, they did the ban on people in the military, and it was not very popular. And they did not try to root out the transgender folks who were already in the military, up to potentially 15,000 service members, okay? So, and they tried bathrooms for a little bit and it didn't work, and we fought them back on that effectively because we were reasonable and the American people were on our side, and the polling indicated that. And then in the meanwhile, since the first Trump administration, what happened? Some folks on our side decided, no, we want that pendulum to swing as far as humanly possible, saying absurd things like Floyd Mayweather can declare himself a woman and next day go into a boxing ring with biological women.
Yep.
No. You're swinging it like things always happen as reactions to extreme things like that. I'm not blaming folks for taking this action because they didn't take this action. Trump did and his administration did. But I'm telling you, just like when we talk about the Middle East, why was there terrorism? We could just do the Joe Scarborough thing. They hate us because they hate us, right? But that's not smart. You have to see and analyze, how did we get there, right? So, I mean, some folks, not a lot, but some defend gender reassignment surgeries for minors. You go tell an average American that we're gonna do gender reassignment surgery for a 12-year-old. That pendulum's all the way up there and it's gonna swing all the way back, right? And now I've been on shows with transgender hosts. They're like, stop the pendulum. Jesus Christ, man, they're kicking us out of bathrooms. God damn, we're going backwards. Stop. And by the way, another giant responsibility here is in right-wing media. Man, they drove that hatred because they didn't stop at, hey, that's unreasonable, or most Americans don't agree with that. They started talking about dysphoria and how it's a mental illness and these people are all mental, etc. Now, this is one of the issues you just can't talk to MAGA on. The minute you say transgender, they get triggered to no end, right? Oh, they're all mentally ill. I'm like, is it them? I mean, look at how you're reacting. So like there are folks who are, the great majority of the country doesn't want to be cruel, right? They don't want to be extreme and they don't want to be cruel. This is cruel. So we've got to, I don't know how in the world we're going to reverse this. I don't think we can under Trump. But if and when a Democrat wins, this would be one of the first things to reverse, and it's not just about transgender folks. It's about who are we as a country? Do we believe in equal rights? Do we all believe in each other? Do we love each other? Or are we going to create these wedge issues that split us to no end and get us to fight each other and hate each other? This is hateful and it's wrong.
So I thought it was kind of interesting how, the Pentagon kind of puts out this very vague statement to justify what they're doing. So they say that medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals with gender dysphoria are inconsistent with the high standards expected of US troops. But then they also specifically note that there are exceptions, okay, The memo states that exceptions could be made for transgender service members who directly support warfighting capabilities if the government feels it has a compelling reason to retain them.
So wait,
Which
are
one
they
is
mentally ill and should be kicked out of the army right away? Or are they some of our best warriors?
Okay, so.
And by the way, Anna, sorry, one more thing that's a total inconsistency is they say the current right-wing thinking is there's only two genders, there's only men and women, and these transgender women are not women, they're men, they're biological men. That's why they should not be in women's sports. Okay. Now wait, you say men are better at combat than women are, and you say that they are men, so why shouldn't they be in the military?
Yeah, that's why this is, to me, look, it's gonna do damage, right? Because I do think that there are transgender service members who are now going to be purged from the military over this discriminatory policy. But this is just virtue signaling. That's honestly what this is for the Trump administration. And look, we don't even know how many transgender service members there are in the military because they don't keep tabs on that. So there are high estimates of 15,000 total, like around 15,000. The lower end of the estimates put it at a little over 4,000 service members. But it's just cruelty for cruelty's sake. There's no real, evidence provided showing that transgender service members have caused any kind of problem with the military. And by the way, the military has had some long-standing issues that continue to go unaddressed, including rape, sexual abuse, not just of female service members, but in some cases male service members as well.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Look, guys, generals have literally testified in Congress saying there's not been a single case of a transgender person lowering morale or creating an issue, creating a conflict that we had to resolve. Not like in the NCAA's, as I keep saying, 500,000 athletes, only 10 are trans, or the whole country's obsessed with it for no reason, right? In this case, there's zero problems, literally zero. Couldn't even find one, right? But yet here we are, and meanwhile, sexual assault in the military is a significant problem.
Yeah.
No, but we're not. No, don't look at that. And why? Because then they think it would implicate men. And so our virtue signaling is no, men are awesome. You can't ever implicate them. No, the real problem is transgender people. Come on. And transgender people, like, keeping them out of the bathrooms. How many transgender assaults have there been in bathrooms? Can you find like maybe one or two in the last 20 years? How many men have assaulted people in bathrooms? Thousands upon thousands upon thousands, right? So what is this? This isn't a real issue. It's both sides doing stupid culture wars.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about, some of the DOJ personnel that we're learning more about and the business interests they have, which could serve as a huge problem considering the access they have to data that they so desperately want for said businesses. So, members of the Department of Government Efficiency who own or even work for businesses that stand to benefit tremendously from the government data that they're now able to access, well, they've been kind of revealed little by little by the reporters over at Wired. The latest example is what's happening over at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the Department of Government Efficiency employees or personnel that are now kind of involved in HUD and have access to a lot of personal private data that they definitely want access to, not because they're trying to root out, corruption or waste or fraud or abuse, but this is the kind of data that their businesses would really benefit from. So let's get to the details. You have Scott Langmack, who's identified himself as, or identified himself to HUD as a senior advisor to the Department of Government Efficiency. According to his LinkedIn, Scott Langmack is the chief operating officer for Cocoon, a property technology company that is, according to its website, on a long-term mission to aggregate the hardest to find data. Now, where would you find super hard to find data when it comes to housing in America?
Anna, it wouldn't be the Housing and Urban Development Agency, would it?
I think it would be, Jake.
Huh.
I think it would be.
So, a populist takeover through DOJ with corporate CEOs and COOs, that's pretty appropriate, COO, and they're gonna get to see all of the data that they want. And guess what they're in the business of? Not just real estate, real estate data collection.
Exactly, yes.
This is a corporate takeover over the government.
So as Wired reports, Cocoon focuses on helping homeowners and real estate investors assess the return on investment they'd get from renovating their properties, and also on predictive analytics that essentially model property values and whether or not they're going to rise, right? So again, this is incredibly important data over at HUD that they now have access to. Now in April of 2024, Cocoon was one of the 8 companies selected to receive support from REACH, an accelerator run by the venture capital arm of the National Association of Realtors. Last year, NAR agreed to a settlement with the Missouri homebuyers who alleged that realtor fees and certain listing requirements were anti-competitive. By the way, here's something that also makes Lang Mac's job over at Doge and the access that he has so problematic, because he has application level access to some of the most critical and sensitive systems inside HUD, one of which contains records mapping billions of dollars in expenditures. But he's not the only person. So another individual who's now employed through the Department of Government Efficiency is Michael Mirsky. Michael Mirsky works for TCC Management, which is a company based in Michigan that owns and operates mobile home parks throughout the United States. Now, he also has the authority to directly modify who can access various HUD systems and data. Now, HUD has an oversight role in the mobile home space, which appears to have recently wiped its website. It's been a growing area of HUD's work and focus over the past few decades, says one source there. This includes setting building standards, inspecting factories, and taking in complaints. This presents another potential conflict of interest. And Doge operatives have access to 5 different HUD systems, and also according to a HUD source with direct knowledge, this gives the Doge operatives access to vast troves of data. Now, if you're wondering what that data is, let's go to graphic 6 here. It ranges from the individual identities of every single federal public housing voucher holder in the United States, along with their financial information, to information on the hospitals, nursing homes, multifamily housing, and senior living facilities that HUD helps finance, as well as data on everything from homelessness rates to environmental and health hazards to federally insured mortgages. I mean, this is insane. Like, look, Elon Musk and his conflicts of interest, bad enough. But when you have 2 individuals who work in housing and real estate related entities outside of Doge, who make money in those companies outside of Doge, and have talked about the importance of collecting data as part of their businesses, like having them involved with housing and urban development and having the kind of access they do to all this data is a problem. Can people just admit that, please? Please admit it's a problem. Please admit that if Biden were still in charge and he did these shenanigans, heads would be exploding, including ours, because this is wrong. It's just wrong.
I literally can't imagine a bigger conflict of interest. Their business is structured on collecting data on housing, and the more data they have, the more profitable their business is. And we just handed them all of the secret data on housing in America. And and MAGA is telling us, or Trump is telling us, Elon's telling us, Doge for sure is telling us, don't worry, they're angels. So even though it would tremendously help their businesses, don't worry, they won't look in that way. Like, even if they can't extract information, which some of this is read-only, but 3 huge parts are not read-only. They can actually extract the information. Okay, one guy is the chief operating officer of a company just like this. The other guy is a specialist on how to extract data. Guys, come on. I mean, anyone, a Democrat or Republican that did this, you'd be like, are you insane? And what I thought Doge was supposed to be like, oh, these guys that are in there, maybe tech savvy folks, et cetera, looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. No, it's like literally corporate executives in those fields. So my question to not just MAGA, but to everybody is, so who's watching the watchers? if they extract that information, how the hell would we know? Oh, good news that you're right. Yeah, there's inspector generals for each. Oh no, they fired all the inspector generals. The very first thing they did was firing all the inspector generals. So there's literally no one to watch over these corporate executives, as they have access in almost every department to the information that would help their businesses. This is a robbery. So, and if they take the info, I literally don't know how we can catch them. So
we're not
probably
gonna
gone.
catch them. They're gonna take the data back to their companies. They're gonna make a ton of money off of it, and there's nothing we can do. Honestly, that's the reality of the situation. So enjoy your black pill while we go to break.
No. I want to say one last thing. Sorry, they're also doing cuts in HUD. Yeah, let's go efficiency. Okay, so they're cutting a department that would help with homelessness by about 84%. Okay, they're cutting public housing, but wait. If you cut the things that helps homelessness and you cut public housing, you're gonna have a lot more homelessness. How does that, wait, I thought Republicans wanted less homelessness. So, and if you say, hey, no, we did an analysis and we found those programs aren't actually helping the homeless, you'd have huge allies here. We believe that is enormously possible. We know that's true in California, we know that's true in LA. I bet you could find it at HUD, right? But they didn't do that analysis. They're just cutting. So then more homelessness is nearly guaranteed. Last thing, they're also cutting aid to first-time home buyers. How does that help? One of the things that Trump said is, we got to help people buy homes and home prices are going too high, etc. Now, the only thing in the government that helped you to buy a home as a first-time homeowner, they're gonna cut.
I know.
But don't worry, they have all the information on real estate, so they'll get richer. Wow, that's such a comfort to us.
I know, but look, right now, what's driving up home prices is the lack of available homes to buy. So we need to build, we need to build a lot.
All of these are factors, but they're not helping on that front. They're making it worse on this front. And the only people that are helped are apparently corporate executives in real estate. Congratulations on a populist revolution.
All right, we gotta take a break. We'll be right back.
Okay, so there's so many comments here. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. Super chat, Zachariah Alj, thank you for donating. Appreciate it. History Speaks says, I certainly oppose discrimination or bullying or cruelty against trans people, but a lot of the claims made by the transgender movement seem absurd to me, and I worry about the practical consequences of implementing them. But History Speaks, that's exactly what we're talking about in the pendulum swinging. You're objecting to some of the extremes, but now we've gotten to a point where Trump has immediately gone to an extreme that's worse, which is actual discrimination against transgender people on their rights and their ability to protect us as they join the military. All right, let's go to YouTube members. This is me, I believe, in Japanese, wrote, and I support TYT because even though I disagree a lot, at least you guys say something different than the narrative. You know why? Because we don't give a F about the narrative. Like each side is like, no, you must do the narrative. If you don't do the narrative, we're gonna say you're immoral or something. Go take that, a long walk off a short dock with that BS. So no, we do independent judgment here, and we appreciate our audience that does that, and everybody who does that. And Slug writes in, hey, this is why we are TYT. We are moved, pissed, hurt, and connected to all of this, and we show it when we talk about it. Big hug, Anna. When things get better, it's because we do it. I love that. Go to tyt.com/impact, see the things we've already done. And guys, I'm beginning to start to tell you guys, there's something new coming, and we're gonna do something that's interesting and that could have a giant impact, okay? So at the end of Pandora's box, after all the horrors have been sprung out of that box. The last thing left is hope. So we're almost there because things have gotten so bad. But anyways, we'll let you know soon. Marco Antonio said they'll, I already read those. Okay, let's go to Twitch. Catch Up Butterfly said, it's discrimination. I hope they file a class action lawsuit referring to this transgender in the military. The good news is, don't worry, they are going to courts, and actually even Gorsuch has ruled that this is unconstitutional before. I don't know if he'll reverse himself, but the Supreme Court might actually support transgender people in the military. So it'll be super interesting to see. Infantry Chef says, in the Army, we all had the same combat lifesaver courses and the same rifle quals every 6 months. That's all any of us cared about at the soldier level. We might not like each other, but we would die for one another, full stop. And that is, of course, the actual code, and I love that. Microgram say, wearing another country's uniform as an American representative sounds traitorish to me. It definitely is, and that's Brian Mast. He doesn't care about this country. He wants to serve Israel, so he should get the F out and go serve Israel and get out of our Congress, go join the Knesset or something else, or go join the IDF again, go to Gaza. Dented Head Ed says, so should Native Americans be able to reclaim their ancestral lands as well? Well, according to Israeli logic, of course, that's it. The whole country's Native American now. By the way, you know who else has claim to Palestine and Israel? Turkey does. The Ottoman Empire owned it completely. Israel, give it back to us. Let's go. It was my land. Give it back to me. I'm using your dumb logic. We'll be back. All right, back on TYT, Cheng and Anna with you guys. I'll read more comments from the members during the bonus episode. Hit the join button or tyt.com/join. But I'm just gonna read one here. And Ken Collins, thank you for gifting a membership on YouTube. Jeff Vasquez wrote in on tyt.com. The military should kick out all its accountants who can't pass a basic audit, not the transgender service members. Here, here.
Preach.
That would be a lot better. 7 years in a row, can't
right.
pass an audit. All right, Anna.
Well, big news today in the world of Andrew Tate, unfortunately now in the United States.
She belongs to her man now. They're married, they're happy, they're in love, they have a child. The saddest, most miserable women of the world are women who are sluts. All of them. They are unhappy. Arranged marriage all works out perfectly. Let's go to Saudi. We need to bring it back. Whereas a 19-year-old might have had one guy from high school, just broke up, she's fresh, and I could put my imprint on her.
Disgusting piece of trash and self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate is now back in the United States, and President Donald Trump is denying any and all involvement in his return.
Sure.
Now, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate, who face charges in Romania, flew to Florida via private plane after a travel ban on them was lifted. Now, Romania had implemented a travel ban to prevent Tate and his brother from leaving the country. But all of a sudden, there was some pressure from the United States. We're gonna get to that in just a second. Now, any initial thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, so I'm fascinated by Trump's backpedal, because that goes to show you again, he's starting to feel pressure on so many different issues from his own base. And I am genuinely surprised that his base started a bit of a revolt on this particular issue. Let's find out why.
So NBC News reports that the brothers left Romania while under criminal investigation over accusations of having formed an organized criminal group, in addition to human trafficking, the trafficking of minors, sex with a minor, and money laundering. Now, they have not been convicted of anything, but they are facing those serious charges. They were arrested in late 2022 and formally indicted last year for allegedly luring women to Romania, where they were allegedly sexually exploited. Andrew Tate was also charged with rape. The brothers deny any wrongdoing. Their lawyer told CNN, though, that they will return to Romania in less than a month because they've got a court date on March 24th. But Matthew Jury, who is the lawyer representing the alleged victims, told CNN any notion that the Tates will return to Romania if there's a risk of them being jailed is fanciful.
Okay, I'm just gonna end that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
They're not going back to Romania. You'd be mental to go back to Romania. Oh, I really miss Romania, and even though they might imprison me for decades, no, that's the last time they'll ever step on Romanian soil.
So Romania's Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism said in a statement Thursday the prosecutors had approved a request to modify the obligation preventing the defendants from leaving Romania, but it said judicial control measures remained in place, meaning the brothers are still required to go back for their court date, whatever. Okay. Now, the agency did not reveal who had made that request to lift the travel ban, but people are speculating that Donald Trump had something to do with it. So just weeks ago, Andrew Tate had posted this on X. The Tates will be free. Trump is the president. The good old days are back and they will be better than ever. Hold on. And 10 days ago, the Financial Times reported that Trump's administration had pressed Romanian authorities to lift Andrew Tate's or the Tates brothers' travel restrictions. The Tates' case was first brought up by US officials in a phone call with the Romanian government, and then followed up by Trump's special envoy, Richard Grenell, when he met the Romanian foreign minister at the Munich Security Conference, said 3 people familiar with the matter. A fourth person said a request was made to return the brothers' passports to allow them to travel while they wait for court proceedings to conclude. But Trump is saying, what? What, me? No, not me. Let's watch.
Andrew and Tristan Tate landed in Florida today on a private jet after being released from custody in Romania. They are accused rapists, human traffickers, not thought of as good people in many circles. Did your administration pressure the Romanian government to release them, and if so,
I know nothing about that. I don't know. You're saying he's on a plane right now?
He's back. They already did.
Yeah, I just know nothing about it. We'll check it out. We'll let you know. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just talk a little bit about some caveats here, okay? And none of us know whether or not he's telling the truth for sure. I will say this though. There is a possibility that Trump has administration officials, including his special envoy, who are engaging in actions that he's not even informed about. And that has happened before. In fact, in his first term, he had a special envoy for Israel who went behind his back and started making promises to Israel without consulting with Trump. And that led to basically Jerusalem being named the capital of Israel. Yes, that did happen.
No, I hear you, but he authorizes it, right?
No, yeah, he did authorize it in the end.
And remember, his donor wanted him to move the embassy.
But the point, I know, Cenk, I know. But the point that I'm trying to make here isn't about whether or not Trump did the right thing or wrong thing about Jerusalem and Israel. My point is, he has all sorts of people working in his administration that he's named. He's got his tax guy. That was what happened with the Israel situation. I don't know, what Grenell's actual profession is outside of being his special envoy in this.
Goon, I think.
Okay, whatever, sure. But my point is, people end up doing things without informing him, and that could be a possibility here. I don't know.
No, it's less likely. So I mean, look, we don't know, to your point, but Trump thinks that these guys are part of the right wing, base, and they're very masculine, all these things that he likes. Is he bothered by the fact that they're accused rapists? I mean, piece of a pot.
True.
So he has no morality, so he doesn't care about any of the charges. Like they were with young women. There was no consent. Trump's like, you just grab them, right? So, and by the way, even if in the some small percentage chance that it wasn't authorized by Trump personally and it was one of his goons, does that really make it better?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, I mean, look, the fish rots from the head down. And if you have people working in your administration who are going behind your back and making promises or engaging in actions that you might disagree with, that's a problem in leadership.
Yeah, and so I want to get to the right-wing reaction in a second, but because what Trump is doing is A/B testing, as we keep telling you, right? So he's like, all right, the Tates, all right, let's get him out of there. I'm gonna be a hero. I'm not a hero. MAGA's turning on me. Tate, what name so? Never heard of it. Okay, tater tots, never, I don't know. They're brothers, so they're insulting me, never heard of it. Get out of here, but okay. So, but look, he's walking it back. The minute he gets the pushback, he walks it back. So.
By the way, one other thing he lied about today, just to reinforce the notion that he tends to backpedal or lie when things don't really look that great for him. Remember, he called Zelensky a dictator in a Truth Social post. It was in writing. And today he was asked about it. He's like, I never called him a dictator. It's like.
Oh shit, because by the way, they did the mineral rights deal. So now he's no longer a dictator. And not only is he not a dictator, Trump never called him one.
Yeah.
Even though we all can see it with our own eyes.
Yes.
By the way, for those of you on the right, this is Biden-esque. No, Biden is not old, and his mental faculties are fine. And Trump did not say dictator, even though we saw him say dictator.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, anyway, real quick on the right-wing reaction. Jeremy Boring, I think he's the CEO of Daily Wire. He's one of the founders, I believe. The way conservatives and conservative organizations respond to Andrew Tate arriving on US soil will tell you everything you need to know about them. Any organization or host who embraces them is engaged in far worse than a simple grift, though it is that. Andrew Tate is the enemy of any traditional American conservatism. Now look, and then Ben Shapiro piled on, etc. I understand that one's a little bit complicated because they hate his views on Israel. So they're like,
oh yeah, that's a good point.
So it's a little bit of both in that case.
But I will be fair to Shapiro because well before the ongoing war on Gaza, and Andrew Tate's comments on it, Ben Shapiro had done some segments, trashing Andrew Tate.
Yeah, and you see, you know what? I'll just real quick. I'll do Shapiro's comment as well because you see it both here. He says America does not need more self-proclaimed pimps and terror supporters, that's the Israel part, with outstanding criminal allegations of sex trafficking and a history of pornographic distribution, plus a grift university that suckers young men out of thousands of dollars. So both those things are true, and if you're into American family values, as the right claim to be, then you certainly wouldn't be in favor of Andrew Tate or the Tate brothers. It's the exact opposite. That's true. Although there is another guy who did a grift university and had to pay a $25 million fine. That's the guy that Ben Shapiro is pretending to like right now. His name is Donald J. Trump. But I just want you to know, it's not just Daily Wire guys. Ron DeSantis came out against it. Do we have that clip?
We do not have a clip of that, but I do actually want to. So Ron DeSantis spoke out against it and is like, no, I'm not in favor of this guy, landing in Florida. He did land in Fort Lauderdale today, but I give DeSantis credit for speaking out against Tate. I also want to just quickly go to this next clip featuring Tate speaking at the airport once he landed.
We live in a democratic society where it's innocent until proven guilty, and I think my brother and I are largely misunderstood. There's a lot of opinions about us, a lot of things that go around about us on the internet. We've yet to be convicted of any crime in our lives ever. We have no criminal record anywhere on the planet ever. Our case was dismissed on the 19th of December in Romania under the Biden administration, and our prosecutor recently decided, because we have no active indictment in court, to let us go and return. This is a democratic society. It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, as my brother and I are.
That's not true. They're facing charges in Romania as we speak.
Yeah, to be fair, it's partially true. So some of the charges were dropped, and that's what he's referring to.
I was going to get to that, yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, Anna.
No, continue.
Yeah, and so, but there's still an open investigation, and so it's kind of disingenuous to say, oh, we've never been proven guilty. Yeah, that's because you didn't stay in Romania where you could have been proven guilty. Instead, you came here, and that's the heart of the problem. I'm amused by Wang Jun, as usual, one of our members on TYT.com. He wrote in, Andrew Tate answers the question, what if erectile dysfunction was a person?
I mean, dude, you bragged about what you were doing to women on your streams. And you want us to pretend like you're some innocent little angel. Okay, anyway. All right. I don't have anything else to say about that disgusting story.
Yeah, no, but I'll give DeSantis a little bit of a credit for speaking out and saying, look, I didn't ask him to be here, and I'm gonna ask our government officials if there's anything we can do to make sure that he doesn't stay. Okay, which by the way, you shouldn't do. Like I hate them, they shouldn't have been allowed back in, but you shouldn't drive people out. They weren't convicted of anything. So anyways, but I like that he pushed back. I don't know if that's some of the DeSantis Trump stuff back in now, because I don't know if you know this, but DeSantis' wife is considering running for governor.
Yep, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, and then but Byron Donalds is also running very likely, and Trump is backing him.
Yep.
So we can have another Trump DeSantis showdown. And so one last thing about it is I'm curious whether the family values portion of the Republican base still exists. Like, is there a single voter that's left in that base? Because if you were an evangelical family values person and you really meant it, which is not a big number to begin with once you say you really meant it, but if you did, you should despise Andrew Tate. And again, to be fair to the right wing, a lot of them are saying, yeah, no, this guy's terrible, and this isn't what we signed up for.
Yeah.
So, all right, interesting rebellions all over the place. Okay, I'll give you one more at least comment here before we go to the bonus episode. Kieran Murphy says, watched a movie yesterday called Money Monster, and guess who I see? Cenk Uygur. What a movie star. Look, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. Okay, I was in the last scene of that movie. In fact, I have the last words in that movie. Fun for everybody. Me and George Clooney, are we co-stars in that movie? I guess. Okay, Casper, what's coming up in the bonus episode?
We're gonna talk about shapes and a senator who doesn't know the difference between them. Don't miss it, tyt.com/join, and we'll see you there.
Highlight.